Why is the design to code handoff still the most broken part of building with AI? You'd think by now there'd be a clean way to design something, change it, and have the code update. But every tool our team has tried either does design or does code, never both. Stitch and Bolt are prompt to code. There is no design canvas you can go back to and edit. The Figma MCP is read only, so AI can pull designs from it but cannot design on it. And if you're using a coding agent directly, every design change means reprompting from scratch. So when pencil.dev started gaining traction claiming to be a bi-directional bridge between design and code, that got our attention. But when we actually started building with it, the bridge was not as seamless as we expected. And what started as just testing a tool turned into our team going way deeper than we planned to actually make this workflow work. So you've probably already heard about pencil.dev, the new AI design tool that's been gaining a lot of popularity with the designers lately. It is basically a bridge between the popular design tools that are specialized for designing and the AI development tools that are tailored for implementing those design patterns. It connects to all the popular agentic IDs and contain a lot of features that actually make the design to code workflow smoother, like component generation, UI libraries support, and automatic CSS class generation. For those who have been using Figma, the interface might be the closest interface to it. It's currently free, and our team downloaded it to test it out. We grabbed the desktop app, and with that came options to connect to all the AI platforms we had installed. We connected it to Claude Code because that's what we were using as our primary tool, and pencil.dev basically uses AI coding platforms like Claude Code and Codex under the hood to do its work. Once the desktop app was installed, the MCP was automatically configured for pencil.dev, and all the tools showed up in Claude Code right away. Now, once it was set up, all OpenAI and Anthropic models were available in the chat. We went with Opus 4.6 from all the models. This tool has some powerful designing capabilities. It keeps the design files as a .pen file inside the project folder, which is basically a JSON-based format, which you can version track with Git as well. But the feature that really sets it apart from other tools is its ability to act as a bi-directional bridge between the coding agent and the design in the app. But it wasn't exactly what we expected when we thought about what that bi-directional sync would be. We assumed Claude or any AI agent would auto-sync the design to code and vice versa, but that's not how it worked. We had to manually prompt it to sync because it does not automatically sync the design to code, at which it analyzed the design section by section and implemented it in the HTML file. It did match exactly what the design on the canvas looked like, but we thought doing that over and over after each design modification was too much overhead. Our team was working on a landing page for a creator direction studio, which we had already designed using pencil.dev connected with Claude Code. And from what we could see, it was a solid website with creative direction that came through clearly just as we intended. We implemented the design using Claude once and had it synced to the Next.js project we were working on, but there were a lot of elements on the page that we didn't like and needed modifications. We needed to change a lot of things in the project repeatedly, but we couldn't keep going to Claude and telling it to sync again and again with the implemented project because that's just a repetitive task. So what we did was create a script to solve this problem. This script used multiple JavaScript libraries that are built for monitoring files for changes. It also had cooldown periods to prevent Claude from getting fired repeatedly, wasting tokens, and causing the session to reach its limits. The whole purpose of the script is to keep watching the .pen file that contains the design, and whenever there's a change in the file, it fires the Claude CLI with a prompt containing how to sync with the project. But the cooldown period was added, which created a gap between each save so it doesn't directly sync all the small changes at once. Now, to use it, we just had to run the npm run sync command, and the worker started immediately and began monitoring the .pen file with our design. If we modified anything with this script running, whenever we pressed the save file key combination, it triggered the Claude CLI automatically and started syncing that change to the project without us explicitly telling it to do so. But before using this script, you have to do one pre-step. You have to pre-configure all the permissions that are required for the editing to be done, like read, write, and MCP tool calls, by adding in the setting.json inside the .claude folder, because if you don't, Claude will get blocked on the permission prompt indefinitely. Without that, Claude can't make changes in the project and won't be able to get the implementation done properly. With this script running, it became easier because we didn't need to manually prompt to sync with the project anymore. Each iteration was monitored by the script and automatically sent to Claude for implementation. Now, this script, along with the source code of this app, is available in AI Labs Pro. For those who don't know, it's our recently launched community where you get ready-to-use templates that you can plug directly into your projects for this video and all previous ones. If you found value in what we do and want to support the channel, this is the best way to do it. The link's in the description. One of the capabilities of Claude Code is using a multi-agent system which parallelizes and speeds up a lot of tasks. We thought, why not try try the multi-agent setup with pencil.dev. Since it's connected as an MCP anyway, we tried using multiple agents for the next implementation, letting each one work on a different aspect of the app all at once. Using it with Claude Code made it easier because it can access all the docs files we had stored as context, like PRD and UI guide, which we usually create before diving into a project. We needed to implement the other pages of the website instead of letting it be just a landing page. We asked it to handle this task, explicitly telling it to let each agent take a different aspect of the app that we wanted to build. So we started with exploration and called the multiple MCP tools. Since we had 5 pages, Claude spawned 5 agents and let each one work on a dedicated page. After a little while, the initial version of the application's design was created. It generated all of the pages needed in the app and made sure the design matched the landing page using the same fonts and styling throughout. Once the design was done, we pressed Command+S to save the file, and the script came into action, automatically implementing the design in the app to speed up the manual process. Now, the website at that point, even though it looked solid, was missing something. There was no motion on the page, and it needed scroll animations that would guide the eyes across what was otherwise a static layout. So for that, we went to GSAP, which is our go-to library because of its robust JavaScript animations and being easy to implement complex animations. For this, we actually had a really detailed prompt written in XML. We used XML because Claude models are explicitly tuned to work better with XML-structured prompts, and it lets them parse the instructions more easily. The prompt contained the task details, all the required dependencies, and all of the important notes, targeting every specific element and specifying exactly how each section should behave, all in their respective tags. When we gave this prompt to Claude Code, it made a lot of additions and added the components with the GSAP motion and installed GSAP itself. Once that part of the implementation was complete, we checked the website. With the animations added in, the website was more livelier and interactive. The whole experience of using the website felt very different from the previous version, which was just static with no motion at all. Now, this prompt is also available in our community AI Labs Pro, where you can download it and use it for your own projects. Also, if you are enjoying our content, consider pressing the hype button because it helps us create more content like this and reach out to more people. Now, even though we had added the scroll visual effects using GSAP, we added another layer with Lenis on top of the initial GSAP scrolling. Lenis is a smooth scroll library that's open source and is one of the most popular tools for creating a more immersive layout on websites. You might be wondering why we'd use another library when we already had scroll animations configured with GSAP. But here's the thing, Lenis and GSAP actually complement each other. GSAP controls what happens when you scroll, and Lenis controls the look and feel of the scroll itself. Without Lenis, the scroll jumps between positions, and with it, the page flows smoothly, and the GSAP animations feel more natural as they trigger. So we had another detailed prompt for this task. We followed the same XML prompting approach like we did with GSAP. The Lenis prompt focused on enhancing the existing scroll animations that were added in the previous step. The prompt listed the dependencies, set up all the instructions, and contained a detailed description of the elements, how to place the animations, and how the behavior should function, ending with the rules. We gave this prompt to Claude Code and let it make a lot of changes across the whole repo. Once it had implemented everything, we checked the website and it was significantly improved. The major change was the addition of smoother scrolling, making navigation around the website a much more immersive experience. Once the website was built and ready with all the features, the final thing left to do was make sure it complied with UX standards before marking it complete. So for that, we created a skill using Skill Creator called UX Audit. This skill is targeted towards checking the quality of UI elements, reviewing different aspects of the website, and making sure that everything adheres to UX standards. It contained multiple phases like gathering context, analyzing the 9-point checklist, and reporting phase, where it scored against a set of criteria. It also included references with the UX checklist that contains the details of all 9 points, and Python scripts that are targeted toward programmatically catching different aspects of UX issues, those issues that the human eye would miss. Once we ran the audit skill, it compiled all issues and flagged 2 critical and multiple major and minor issues. The critical issues were the contrast of the colors. The scoring metric ranked the website as a C because of all the issues it identified. It provided all the required changes in detail. And once it had defined the changes, we asked it to implement the fixes. After all the changes were made, the website, though it might not look significantly different, did have a huge improvement in usability, making it easier to navigate and VCAG compliant as well. When we ran the audit skill again, the website ranking improved from a C to a B, meaning all the major issues were fixed and only a few minor ones remained. That brings us to the end of this video. If you'd like to support the channel and help us keep making videos like this, you can do so by using the super thanks button below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.